Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HackFS Filecoin Storage and Retrieval on Filecoin Part 2 session. Joining us today is Longfei Wang, who will be taking us through this session. And with that, I'll pass it over to Longfei to get the session started.
Thank you. So you'll be able to see my slides, right? So if that works fine, and I'm gonna start today's session. Hey everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're at, and welcome to listen to this talk about storage and retrieval part 2. I hope you guys have spent some time and listened to what Matt has talked about last time, and to be about like making storage deal on Filecoin through smart contract, either through like a client contract or through the aggregation. So this topic will be part 2, and after what Matt's talk, and we will talk a little bit more about what afterwards, if you make a storage deal on Filecoin, what it can do to replicate, to renew, or maybe to repair on the Filecoin virtual machine through a smart contract. So let's maybe introduce myself a little bit. And my name is Longfei, and I work with the Filecoin developer advocate. And now because FVM is super important on that, so I'm gonna mainly helping on FVM team as well. So if you guys work with hackathons and you guys stay in the community either through Slack or Discord, you might see my name popping around everywhere. I'm trying to help developers in the community, and hopefully I'm being helpful and be able to bridge you guys with the team, product team, or our engineer team to be able to fix your problem and to providing a better and more stable infrastructure for building things on Filecoin. Cool. And so for guys who have been listening and following all the Filecoin workshop, and you might have seen this slides thousands of times, but I think that's a great slide to be able to tell what the Filecoin plan is and why we're doing things at a certain stage of the development phase. If you're not, and the first time jump into this workshop, and then I will give you a brief talk about what Filecoin are doing and why we bring FVM on board at this period of time. So obviously, Filecoin is building a decentralized network, decentralized storage to provide the storage for all the like Web 2 or 3 words. Decentralized storage. Obviously, the storage is most valuable things for us. Starting from like 2017 or 2020, we launched the mainnet. We are putting a lot of effort trying to providing the decentralized capacity into the network, trying to onboard a storage provider, to provide a more stable the storage through the global. That's the first that we've been doing, and we've been doing a great job since 2020. And then the network has grown a lot. Like if you look at our blockchain explorer or any static file, website, you will find out that the storage capacity, regardless of raw storage capacity or that just the storage capacity through Filecoin Plus, have grown rapidly until like 12 or 13 gigabit right now. And after that, obviously, we want to onboard data on Filecoin. We want to onboard data like valuable data set and humanity data set on Filecoin, either through Web 2 applications or collaborations, or providing the storage for all sort of the Web 3 applications platform like Ethereum, Solana, and Near, or any blockchain to onboard the data on Filecoin. And that's growing very great as well. And the third step is what we're doing right now. We are trying to bring the service on Filecoin and harvest the real value stored on Filecoin, which is data, and then providing the computation through this data, through the either through the data or through the status of the data, or state of this data on Filecoin, and to be able to build web scale applications on Filecoin. And that's where we bring Filecoin Virtual Machine to the picture to be able to provide the on-chain programmability through the data, through the state of the data on Filecoin, as well as other computations like Bacalhau, things like that. And this is the brief idea of what we are doing and why Filecoin Virtual Machine is important, and how it will bring the programmability into the Filecoin network. I think now we've been talking about Filecoin And we've been talking about how Filecoin is providing the data for Web 2 or Web 3. Now, because we are at a HackFS and we're trying to get developers interested in Filecoin. And so the most important part is, how are we going to build on Filecoin? And what kind of a service and what kind of tools that we can use? I think for developers, we want to be clear that we want to be clear to developers that based on what you're building, and you need to find the right builder's path to follow, to use the right tools to build. And we don't want the developers to bump into the road that they just completely using the wrong tool and building things that would not expect them to do. So this diagram prepared by Sarah, one of our team member on FVMT, is great. It's very clear and then guide the developer through the process of picking the right tool and then thinking from the perspective of what the product needs. So we can look at this diagram from two sides. The left side, the greenish part is if you want to build something more programmability on Filecoin, which means if you want to using the programmable storage on Filecoin. And then the right side is if you don't, and for the applications that you're building, you just want to store your data in a decentralized manner. That is, you just want to put your data in the Filecoin or IPFS network, and you don't need to handle or making storage deal and monitor the storage data or doing the renew or replication, that kind of job. And you will go this way. For example, if you're building an NFT project, if you're building a GameFi project like AI or social, you just want to store your data in a decentralized manner, out of the control of any central party, and you'll go this way. All you need to do is use this storage service, Web3 storage, NFT storage, Lighthouse, or S3. Now they changed to Filecoin data tools. So, and then all you need to do is just store data, and then all those storage service will take care of the storage deal making process. So actually, all those storage service are the builders for the left side of this diagram. So they are building something on Filecoin, and those storage service will build on Filecoin storage. We need to make storage deal on Filecoin network and monitor the storage status and be able to renew and repair. And then and also if the data are small, they also need to do aggregation. You are building some data service like Web3 storage or S3, and you mainly gonna land on the left side of the picture. Or if you're building something like we've been talking about, data DAO, perpetual storage, and storage automation, then you also need to go with a programmable storage side. And if you're storing some data on smaller size or less than 4 gigabit, which is what we distinguish of smaller size, the small data or large data on Filecoin, and you probably need to go through the aggregation, or if you're storing data larger than 4 gigabit, you can go on the deal clients. All this have been covered by Matt from the previous session. And then the thing that I'm going to cover mainly today is if I made a deal on Filecoin, regardless through aggregation or without aggregation, there's a deal landed on Filecoin. We just need to keep monitor and then be able to replicate as many copies as we want and be able to renew, or maybe essentially we'll be able to repair if there's something wrong with the storage deal of Filecoin. So today, I think we just want to be clear, if you are in this workshop and if you are interested into building perpetual storage or renewal repair, and you're going to mainly land it on here. But if you're building, that's the part of the developers we want to track. We want to track developers who are interested in this side and pay more attention to this workshop. And if you're building an NFT or DeFi, and the storage service might be the best options for you. Okay, so let's get into it. Because everything I'm going to talk about today is for the storage deals. I want to go back one step and to refresh everybody's mind on how Filecoin storage works. I think Matt has also covered that in a previous talk, but I'm going to bring it up again because that's will be important for you to understand how we'll make some of those process on Filecoin and on the Filecoin virtual machine and through smart contract, and why we are doing certain work, like why we're doing replication, why we're doing renew, and while we're doing things through the aggregation. All right, let's first go through this storage deal making process very quickly, and we'll see what we can put on Filecoin Virtual Machine and what we can do with renew. So if you want, let's starting with the client part. If you as the client of Filecoin and you want to store data on Filecoin, so the first step we need to do is, you can find your wallet and you need to have certain field token in your wallet, so you'll be able to pay the storage service fee and maybe potentially pay a collateral from your storage. Or you can use a data cap to store your verified data on Filecoin, and that's the essential part of the using Filecoin. And then once you have that, you want to store data, the first step you need to do is do data preparation. So you need to prepare your data from regular file into the car file, which is the data format used on Filecoin and IPFS based on the IPLD standard. And you'll be able to retrieve them by the CID. So the car file can be either saved on the file server or IPFS. Eventually, the storage provider will retrieve this data and then store for you. Once you have that ready, the second step is you need to make a storage deal proposal to the storage providers on Filecoin, based on what the storage provider requests, based on the geographic of the storage provider. So if the storage provider sees that a proposal come in and that's okay for them, they will accept this deal and then eventually request the data you want to store from the file server or the IPFS. And once they get it done, they will publish these storage deals on chain on the Filecoin network. And after going forward, they'll just keep proving the storage they have stored through the proof of replication or proof of space-time. So from that, there was something stay on chain, which is deal, storage deal. And in the storage deal, we'll have all this information recorded on chain. I won't bring this up because that's the most important value. That's the important parameter on that deal is starting epoch and ending epoch, which indicates that how long the storage deal will live on Filecoin network, as well as if this storage deal is active on Filecoin or not. That's very important for renewal storage or repair storage, or making sure that we store the enough replications for these clients as they wished. And as you know, this whole process happens on chain and off chain, obviously. And from this picture, you can see data preparation, storage deal proposal, data transfer, all this happen off chain. And then deal publish proof of the deal and then storage deal on chain. So now with FVM coming in, we are trying to move some of the component on chain through the programmability through on the smart contract. So now, if you imagine that you can start using like a field token to fund your storage, and maybe you can have your own token to fund the storage, trying to incentive trying to incentive clients to use, trying to incentive storage provider, maybe like geographically to incentive. And then the second part we can make it on chain is making storage deal. Like Matt's presentation last time for this is the first part of the process, that we can make deal through the client contract, which means you propose deal in the contract, and contract will emit events on chain, and then storage provider Boost will be able to pick it up and publish deal. Or the orange side, the orange part that I put it here, will be able to make on chain through smart contract. And another part, most important part I'm going to talk today is we can also make the deal renew, deal repair, and deal replication on chain as well. And on chain will be able to monitor all this process and then make it eventually on chain. Before we go into all this detail of the renew and replication, I want to bring another concept up is the aggregation, the deal aggregation. And Matt also talked about last time, so I want to emphasize a little bit more because that's also something that is very important in the Filecoin ecosystem. And I think it's a super interesting idea for developers to build on top of it as well. And you can see there's a QR code down here. If you're interested in building an aggregator, you can just go scan and look at the specs that our product can prepare for you, and you read through and see if it makes sense, if it's something interested for you to build, and then go forward. If you have any question, just talk to us, talk to the product team of Filecoin. But essentially, what is aggregation? Why it's needed? You probably heard I talk about data size over and over again, like because there are some data size that we call sector size, which is on Filecoin is how big the data you will see, you will store. And then on Filecoin, the sector size is 32 gigabit or 62 gigabit. Imagine that if you store like NFT data, which is like a few gigabit or maybe 1 megabit, how much data you need to store to pack to like 32 gigabit. That's a lot of data you need to pack into there. And it's not economic friendly for the storage provider to pick up the small data and then store. Imagine like 32 gigabit and you put thousands of files into one deal. And it will generate tons of messages, generate tons of proof for storage provider to do. So it's like expensive execution, also very, very expensive on the gas fee. And imagine all those deals will come a different turn, like how long they want to store, how much they want to pay, and what storage provider they need. It's very difficult to handle. So, and that's why we bring aggregation into the picture. So what aggregation do is the aggregator will listen to the files and pack them into one deal and one deal or maybe a call file to also at the same time generate what we call PODSI. It's an inclusion proof that you can improve that your file is included in that call into that sector, and then be able to verify that as well. Imagine that if you're putting all your files into a black plastic bag, you will not be able to verify. And PODSI is the standard that we bring in to be able to help to verify in the aggregation. And then the process of aggregating the files and generating the proof all could happen on-chain and off-chain as well. On-chain means through smart contract. Off-chain means what Web3 storage or Filecoin data tools are doing. And they are building by some of the collaborators in our ecosystem as well, like Filecoin data tools, Lighthouse, and Cifron. They are building this. If you're interested building an on-chain aggregator, off-chain aggregator, go scan this code and you'll be able to just learn. And if you want to see some example, maybe you can see how Filecoin data tools and Lighthouse are building their solution. So keep in mind, aggregator is very important to handle small deals. And that's what we're going to take as an example for our deal aggregation, deal renew and deal application. We're using the aggregator in that example, but of course, if you are storing some data with larger size, you can directly use a client contract to do it. So let's look at this picture. So now we're talking about renew. What do we call RaaS? You could do replication as a service, renew as a service, or essentially repair as a service. So what we'll do, and we can look at briefly on this side, is if I'm a client and I want to store my data on Filecoin. So if those data are small, first I need to store that with aggregator. So aggregator will have a smart contract which will be able to record all the data come in, and there's going to be aggregator function will be aggregate all the files together and then generate the proof, essentially send the proof back to the clients or record the proof in the smart contract. And that's part of once you successfully make a storage deal, and then storage deal will leave on Filecoin network, regardless it's through aggregator or not aggregator. And this deal will be staying on Filecoin network with a certain time, which is the lifetime. And now minimum is 180 days. And possibly something might go wrong with the sector. Sector might go down because the storage provider has some issue maintaining that. And so after you make a deal successfully on Filecoin, we need to constantly monitor these deals. So first, making sure all the sector are healthy enough, and then the deal isn't expired. Or if the clients want to store multiple replica and want to make sure that that's enough applications exist on Filecoin network. All this has to be monitored through smart contract or through what we call RaaS Node as well. So if anything goes wrong, we need to make sure that we kick off another storage deal to repair or to renew based on what we service, what the developers are building on. And then if you are interested, if you want to know more, here's the QR code as well. You can scan and then go to the spec page that we are being preparing. I forgot to show. So it's the aggregation spec page, and also the storage deal renew process as well. And keep in mind, this is just the starting point of preparing a spec, and we are providing the minimum features required to be able to make the storage renew or storage application works. And obviously, there are a lot of more detail could be added in there. And if you're interested, go find it out and find out, and then do expanding that knowledge. All right, so let's talk a little bit more into the detail on each part of this, how it work. And I'm not going to spend too much time talking about how to make a storage deal through aggregator, because Matt has covered it last time. So I'm just going to go it over very quick. And the example here of making storage deal through aggregator, the important part comparing with what Matt talked about is we bring the application part, which is involving updating data, uploading data to aggregator, and then be able to submit the CID to aggregator as well. At the same time, it might need to register the renew job or replication job or repair job with what we call the RaaS Node in the future, and then RaaS Node will be able to monitor those. And that's what we expect developers, or we expect builders to build for this. Maybe it's going to be a part of the perpetual storage, part of the storage service that they are working on. So, and then the process is quite simple. And if you're making a storage deal with aggregator, you're going to submit your data and submit your CID to aggregator. And then aggregator smart contract will be able to monitor that. If they received a request of storing data, and they're going to emit events of receive a request. And once the requests come in and have enough data to pack into one sector, the aggregator will do the job and then aggregate all the deal, generate the PODSI, and then be able to call back the complete function. So the complete function will record the proof and then the deals including the CID in the aggregator smart contract. And that will be able to be queried by by the PODSI, I mean the nodes, as well as the smart contract, which I will cover next. And once you have, this is the process of making storage deal. Once the storage deal is finished, then the aggregator smart contract will be able to record all the deals have been made for that CID and included that CID into the deal process. And that's the first step of making storage deal through aggregator. Keep in mind that we are taking a Filecoin data tool, Edge, as the example here. And if you're interested, you can also use them as well. And there's a smart contract having provided by the aggregator, and it has the submit function, a complete function that I demonstrated in this, I talk about in this diagram. And also have a get audio function will be eventually used by the deal status smart contract as well. And once that process, once the deal is made successfully on chain, the next step will be we'll keep monitoring those deals. And if something goes wrong, the RaaS node will be able to take actions. Here I'm going to take replication and renew as example, and repair will be coming later as well. So if you remember earlier, I said when an application make a storage deal, and you can also register a renew job and a replication job with the RaaS node, with this node. So eventually this node will work with deal status smart contract and monitor those deals on Filecoin through the aggregator. So how that works is there's a deal status smart contract. In that smart contract, and you're gonna keep get all the active deals through the aggregator smart contract. So we send the request to the aggregator smart contract and then get a list of the deals that including that CID have made on chain. And then they will check with on Filecoin network, calling the building actors to look if those deals are still active or not. And once they get data back, and it will emit events and about which deal is active or not. And eventually the RaaS node will be able to listen to those events and then calculate if there are enough active deals exist for this CID. So if not, for example, if the clients want to have 10 replications on the Filecoin, but we can only find 9 active deals, which means this is one missing. And it could be a repair and a replication as well. So the RaaS node has to take action to start a replication work or start a repair work, kick off not a new proposal with aggregator, and then activate a deal for these clients. This is the brief process, which involve a lot of monitoring, a lot of customer logic into that replication as well. And that works the same for the renew job. The only little bit difference is on the deal status contract. We're going to look at, is there any deal expires within certain epoch? And those list of deals are also requested from the aggregator smart contract. And you'll be able to get a list of deals that have been made to include that CID in. And for each of the deals, we'll look at the building actor and then to look at the deal term to make sure if it's expired or not. If it's close to expire, we're going to emit events, and those expired deals events will be listened by the RaaS node, and RaaS node will be decide if there's a new deal needs to kick off to do the renew. And all this are the brief process of what a deals monitor and what RaaS node should do. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a very, very minimal features that we have put into the spec to make sure that this renew as a service or replication as a service works fine end to end. But obviously there are more that we can add into this future. For example, if we look at the deal status smart contract, currently what we designed it for is for what the client has stored for their CID, and this contract will be able to get a list of the deals and keep monitor those deals periodically. So there are 2 functions that we provide. One is get active deals, which we'll use to determine if there are enough replications for this CID on chain. And then the second one is get expiring deals, which is used to determine if there's any deal expiring that we need to renew for it. So this is a very basic function, but like if you think about more, and you will think you probably will get, oh, but like when exactly should I monitor those contract? When exactly should I monitor the deal? Do I need to get Oracle into the picture? How do I do a cron job to make sure that I don't run that status check too often? And maybe like if there's new renew and repair coming, what's the logic should I do, right? Should I repair? Should I renew based on what the clients ask for, or maybe I can renew in a different location and pick the different storage provider to do that, and how the clients will pay the renew service or repair service. Those are a lot of more detail you can add, and I think for this kind of a renew and repair RaaS service there. And then for the RaaS node as well. And we designed the RaaS node as the point of be able to monitor the deals we have made through the aggregator, and then also be able to help monitor the expiring deals or active deals, and actually kicking off the job of renew a deal or replica a deal or repair a deal with aggregator or not aggregator on Filecoin. And so all this are very detailed spec are included into this QR code. If you scan, and you'll be able to find it. And that's the part we are putting it out. And if there's any developers are interested into building a replication renew as a service, and you can go follow and go read this note and read this spec, and welcome anyone to build it for it. And if you're building a perpetual storage, or if you're building a storage service, you're also interested to build this, and also very welcome to do. So if you feel free to reach out to us if you have any question. And all this document has been put it out into our linked tree. If you're interested, you can scan and get all the information we are looking for, like aggregator spec, or this renew repair service spec. And also, if you can follow us on Twitter, then we have a Twitch happen every month to talk about all this in detail. I think I first think I might don't need 30 minutes, but after I'm going through, it feels like a lot of information to digest. And I hope after this session, you'll be able to go back and have the picture of how the deal process is on Filecoin looks like, and maybe have the aggregation in mind why it's needed, and having the have the clear picture of why we need a renew, why I need to repair, why I need to replication. You need that picture. And if you're interested in building it, just keep following us. And if you have any question, maybe you can ask now, or maybe ask us on Slack or Discord. Okay, that's all my content for today. Thank you.
Cheers, Longfei. Yes, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat now or take yourself off mute and ask. And as Longfei said, if you don't have anything now, please definitely take advantage of the Discord partner channels as well to reach out to Longfei and other partners via that route. Okay. If there are no other questions or no questions, thank you, Longfei, for the great presentation. And thank you, everybody, for attending. And yeah, we will see you all later. Cheers. Have a good one.